Yo guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be covering over Tier Dungeon as a whole. This video has been in the works for a couple weeks now, I think like 3 weeks, and I just wanted to make sure the script was good, so this can be kind of a all-in-one type of guide. So without further ado, we're going to be talking about what Tier Dungeon is for to begin with. So the first thing, and pretty much the most important thing you'd be running Tier Dungeon for, are these things called disappearing equipment, also known by the community as fodder. This fodder will give you internal tokens. It will give you upgrades on your gear for star levels, as you can see here. If I put this in, I'll get some XP for it, and they're just very, very good. And you get higher rarity ones the higher tier dungeon you go. The second reason why you should be running tier dungeons as much as you can is this ranking, and this ranking is super nice. Now recently, since the void patch, there's been a lot of competition for the top ranks, and because everything's changing, right now it's kind of wonky, but later on it'll be a lot more set in stone. But what's most important are these keys of prophecy. And now of course these demo gorgon stars are really nice too, but the keys of prophecy is what you're really going to be after, and that lets you open the pay to win chest or the prophecy chest to get the cubes. And the last thing you're going to be getting with the tier tokens is with tier dungeon is the tier tokens, and you're going to use these to get Jorm's scale. These are the best earrings in the game, not for this, even though this is really nice. You actually get it mainly for the 30% penetration, which is insanely powerful because penetration is one of the best stats in the game. So getting these is high priority and is used in pretty much every endgame build. So the next thing is, when do you want to run tier dungeon? So every week there's going to be a new boss, and each one of these bosses will have different buffs and debuffs, and you can see it with these little circles right here, and they'll have different debuffs. You can click on them, and the higher stage you go, the more debuffs they'll get and the worse that they'll get. As you can see at tier 24, you have some pretty gnarly stat debuffs, as long as with some other debuffs like that. But when do you want to run tier dungeon? So no matter what stage you're at, you're going to be getting 100 free tier tickets every single week. Use those any tier stage you are. Now let's say that you're a little farther ahead and you can do like a tier dungeon like 5 or 6. Is it worth dumping quartz into it? No. You want to wait until tier dungeon 9. This is where you're going to get 5-star fodder, and it's going to give you a lot of ET or a lot of points into your gear, whichever one that's more important to you. So tier dungeon 9 is where you're going to be running, and then late game you're going to be doing tier dungeon 19, and tier dungeon 19 is where you get your mythic fodder, and this is going to be a huge progression boost. And then the more you push into the game, the more tier tokens you'll get. So you can see I push a little farther ahead and yada yada yada. So you want to go as far as you can with short times, but the key points are tier dungeon 19 and tier dungeon 9. Those are two big ones. So how do you get into tier dungeon more? So first things first, you get quartz. Quartz, it's 300 quartz per run. It's pretty expensive as you go on, but with the guild boss and the adventure quartz gains, it should be pretty manageable. I don't recommend spending quartz on that ASAP. There's better ways to spend your quartz, such as airships and stuff like that. I'll make a video about that later, but only do this when you're pretty much done with what you need with quartz. After that, you're going to be using the seasonal shop. And now I made this original script when Flame Rift was here, so it's a little bit different now because you need a lot more stuff from this store than you did from Flame Rift. Go watch my video on that if you haven't already. But once you have everything you need, these are still very good value, so pick these up. And yeah, so you're going to be using these to get a lot more tier dungeon entries. So what do you need for your tier dungeon? Right now I'm showing my end game build, and it still has some work to be done because the meta just recently shifted, as I talked about. But this is generally what you need for the current meta. But it doesn't really explain what you need exactly. So what you need are a lot of substats, and a lot of new players don't really understand substats. These things are like crit rate, penetration, skill cooldown, stuff like that. These are very important. Those three stats are a necessity. So in tier dungeon, you're going to be getting debuffs of that. And the way you're going to be building up these stats is through skins, stat rolls, and just stat lines in general. So let's cover over skins first. So right now, again, the skins are a little bit different because the meta shifted. But generally, you want to be using 3 skill cooldown reduced skins and 2 penetration skins if you're playing warrior. A mage is a little different, range is a little different as well. Right now, I'm using, I believe, 3 skill cooldown reduced, and I'm using 2 skill cooldown reduced, 2 crit rate, and 1 penetration power. But yeah, you want to be rolling these skins and getting the highest rolls you can. And then once you have a good set stat, you can be rolling your extra stats, and this is where you're going to get another 20% skill cooldown reduce, up to 20% cooldown rate, 15% pen, 14 or 15% skill cooldown on your shield, some more pen on this, and a little bit more skill cooldown on this. So you can get a lot of substats just from your skins. It's very important. The next thing you're going to be rolling for are your gear lines, and it's not so much these set bonuses, but it's the actual lines on them. So as you can see, I have penetration power 21% on my ring, and that is one of the most important stats on a ring. So you can be rolling up to 20% penetration when it's mythic. I think it's 18% not mythic. So rolling that instantly with your reset scrolls right here, you reroll your least important stat to penetration. So that's very important to get. As well as that, you can get crit rate on your helmet on top of skill cooldown reduce. You can get crit rate on your chest plate. You can get crit rate and skill cooldown reduce on your earrings, and you can get crit rate on your shield. And you can also get crit rate and penetration on your main weapon. So getting all those stats rolled will really boost your crit rate and penetration power. And just from that alone, you should be running pretty high tier dungeons with just these substats. But once you get even further, you're going to need a little bit more of a boost. And that's where these extracts come into play. So currently I'm VIP 6 and I unlocked everything except for the VIP 7 one of these. But extracts are pretty much the reason why you want to get VIP 4 as well as the auto disenchant. Having extra extracts is really important because you can fit both the gold and your substats like I'm doing here. So I have gold and also have a substat here. So crit rate for me. You pretty much want to boost anything that you're missing. Generally, you know, when you're playing warrior, you're going to be using 3 crit rate substats, but when you're playing mage, you can be using a skill cooldown reduce substat as well. Those are the 2 big ones. Penetration doesn't really have a substat that's good on extracts. So the next thing that I want to talk about is upgrading your gear slots. So the gear slots are really important, and a lot of people mess up on it. You do not want to be rushing 1400 weapon with nothing else. You want to be upgrading 3 main things, and those 3 things are going to be your weapon, your shield, and your chest plate. So generally, you want your weapon to be 100 levels above your chest plate and your shield, and this is because your weapon is the most important thing in the game, but you shouldn't just be focusing that alone. A big thing you need to know is, like, having a 1300 weapon, you should still have a 1200 chest plate and a 1200 shield. This is really important because your survivability is a huge deal in tier dungeons, and also rifts in general too, because now that these slots are being upgraded to the gear, this is going to help you pretty much everywhere. So once you get your weapon to about 1400, you're going to be stuck with a choice here. Maybe 1400, maybe 1300 even. You're going to be stuck with a choice of if you need damage or if you need health or defense. So if you need damage still, upgrade your rings up to 1400. I wouldn't really recommend going past 1400 until your weapon is 1500. But that's a little bit more min-maxing. I want to talk about just your general upgrade cycle, and that is if you're being killed, you need to look at how you're dying. So if you're dying by being chipped down slowly, you need to work on your defense. If you're dying by being one-shot, then you need to work on your health. Watch how you're dying, and then you can easily dictate what you need to upgrade. So again, one shot, HP, chip down, defense. Now you're gonna keep this up until you reach the major roadblock of 1400 gear. From 1400 to 1500 is a huge difference. You're gonna be working on getting your 1500 sword And then you're going to be working on getting your 1500 rings, 1500 shield, and 1500 chestplate, depending on what you need, and not in that order. The last thing I want to mention is your companions. These aren't huge, but these will help you. The first thing you're going to need to get is your war drum. No matter what you're running, you want war drum. This drummer boy right here, he helps a lot. The next thing you need to figure out is if you're dying or is if you need more damage. If you need more damage, then get companions such as the Mecha Squad, or these are all event companions, but you want to get any companions that have skill damage or base attack damage or anything like that, crit rate, anything that you're missing for substats, as well as damage. Now, if you're dying, however, you're going to be doing your shield block build. Now, of course, you're going to have your war drummer, and then you're going to have 2 Jeds. You're going to have 1 Dark Star Jed, and then you're going to have 2 Flame Rift companions. I really hope you guys did pick these up. These guys are really important. If you guys don't have them or you're coming in late, just go ahead and replace them with 2 more Jeds of the Holy Rarity. The last thing I want to talk about is how to spend your tier tokens. So how to spend your tier tokens is a pretty important thing because you get them pretty slowly at the beginning. So the first thing you're going to be getting is your Jorm earrings, or the Piece of Doom. You're going to be choosing this depending on what your gear is when you have the 25,000 tier tokens. If you're still using the Absolute and the Transcender and you have no other way to get +2, not even a +1 Yag or a +1 belt or a +1 ring, you're going to be getting the Piece of Doom. This gives you 30% skill cooldown and lets you replace some stuff with crit rate or penetration or whatever you need. If you have any other way of getting +2, like literally any way besides Absolute and Transcender, you're going to be getting Jorm. Just because how powerful Jorm is, you want to make sure it fits into your build as soon as possible. If you get Piece of Doom and you're going to eventually get a +2 single slot, you're going to be getting Jorm too. So you want to get Jorm no matter what. Once you get the earrings, you're going to be choosing between 2 things. You're going to be either getting disappearing equipment or you're going to get a better Jorm. That's it. If your earrings don't have good lines, and maybe we're dumping another 25,000 tier tokens into it. If it has even decent lines, I would really just recommend dumping everything into disappearing equipment. What you'll do with this is you're going to use this to upgrade your gear, and you're going to be using the 5-star and the mythic disappearing equipment to disenchant and get internal tokens. At super late parts of the game, and I'm talking people in the top 10, maybe the top 20, you can start buying refined stones, and this actually has a really good transfer rate, and you're going to be using this to level up your celestial relic. It just depends on where your gear is. When you're a higher level like that, you can make your own choice. And that's it. So I hope this video was at least a little bit informative. I know that I kind of started to cross my words a little bit here, but I hope it's as informative as I can get it. This tier dungeon is a huge part of the game, and I hope I did it some justice in this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.